The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
I'm live. Good morning. It is always a good day when I get to pull up and fill in for Sir Benjamin Dixon. Good morning. My name is Anoa Changa, and I am ready to rock and roll, even at 8 o'clock in the morning. I hope you all are doing really well today. Shout out to folks who have elections happening in their states. There are primaries happening all over the place this year. But we have, of course, because we're in a midterm election cycle, all up and down the ballot. We have elections happening in Nebraska and West Virginia. And despite the mainstream media, like, oh, leaning red, Nebraska and West Virginia have states, have elections, anything is possible if people show up and support the candidates that they believe in and that matter. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later in the show today. It's been really interesting just watching the internets and watching, Ben and Rebecca and Georgia and everyone do what they do over here. It's been quite some time since I've regularly contributed to YouTube commentary, video commentary in this way. But just really thinking about more recently, just seeing the conversation that has been happening around the death and the depth of YouTube, I guess, self-proclaimed relationship guru Kevin Samuels. So I'm, I guess, one of the fortunate few who had never knew or heard of Mr. Samuels before recently. I do, appreciate having a diversity of folks that come across my timeline to help me get information and stuff going. But it wasn't until a couple weeks ago, like I just recently started trying to do online dating. I know that's a whole nother conversation. But people, like, there's this one app called Coffee Meets Bagel. People like you go look at their app. It was either Coffee Meets Bagel or Match.com. I can't remember which one. But a dude had something about Kevin Samuels, and if you don't like him or you think he's wrong or you think he's a problem, then I'm not the person for you. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting to reference someone else like that in your dating profile. I should look up to see who this person is, right? So I can understand whether or not I should click or not, right? And so just my brief little just cursory review on the internet, I was like, oh, I really don't have time nor brain power to like formulate an opinion about you or this person, but I'm just gonna err on the side of caution that you're not for me. And then we fast forward to about a week or two ago, and Mrs. Samuels went viral. Folks were talking about how he was talking about a 35-year-old woman, a woman who was 35 or older, and that generated a lot of conversation. And then a week after that, he has passed away, right? And there's a lot of conversation going on. There's been some really good commentary written about this already. Shout out to one of our staff writers at News One, Zach Lindley, who has written a couple of pieces about Kevin Samuels and just this genre of the internet, right? Misogyny, some will say it's uplifting Black men and giving them space and place. That's fine and interesting and dandy. It can be done without having to denigrate people. And, folks will say, oh, but he's hard on everyone. But it seems like, objectively, when you look at the commentary that has got him the most fame, that has got him the most, interest and allegedly money, there are allegations that he died broke, that the family is now fundraising to be able to pay for his services. Whether that's true or not, again, I have no clue or opinion. There's just been a really lot of conversation about this individual. I spent a lot of time telling people about what their value and worth was and presenting a persona, because that's a lot of what we do on the internet, right? When we're even when you think about like people who deliver the news, right? Even Ben and myself, to some extent, have developed personas in the way in which that we engage because it's interesting, right? It's entertaining. If I just sat here talking to you like in my regular mom voice, that may or may not be interesting to you. I may or may not actually in my regular self be interesting to many people, but we step into a new role. It makes me think of law school, right? When they're teaching us about how to do, opening arguments and closing arguments and like how how we're presenting, how do we stand. There's a lot of theatrics in the way we present and give information to other people. Unfortunately, when you step outside of a value alignment, or you have a particular type of value alignment that's geared towards demeaning, degrading, putting other folks down, it can create a certain atmosphere around you and the messaging and what you're doing. What I found most interesting in a lot of the conversation around, Mr. Samuel's death was the fact that it took a while. Part of why it took so long to confirm the internet rumors of whether or not he had actually passed away is it took a while to notify, to identify, to get into contact with his next of kin, reportedly because of relationships that he has with his daughter, his mother, and other members of the family. And I mean, that just speaks a lot of values to someone who is delivering relationship advice, who themselves do not often have it together, right? And we can present as very together. We can present as having all the answers, and then our own personal lives are in shambles. I know for me, part of why, I stopped doing commentary, part of why I pulled away from doing the podcast is just because I had to personally get myself together and focus my strength and energy on my life, on my health. But it's just really interesting, to see someone's life coming into the light and how it doesn't align with what they projected and told others. One of the things that I think about, like with all this self-help guru relationship space, I dabbled a bit in my 20s, reading like a Yana Van Zandt and other folks. But ultimately, it just seems like we need to work on like communication and defining for ourselves what we value, who we value, and what we value in ourselves as well. So that's the little spiel that I have about Kevin Samuels and this whole conversation. But I just think it's really interesting that there is a section of the internet, there's a section of social media, there's a section of book media, right? I mean, even thinking back to there's a sister wrote an article back in January about venturing into online dating and thinking about where this being down on woman's self-help dating guru came from. I mean, it might predate Steve Harvey, but when you think back to Steve Harvey's Think Like a Man, that is definitely a villain origin story in the making for the self-help guru. I'm going to tell women, and particularly Black women in this instance, what to do with themselves. And not everyone is like that, so I'm not going to overly generalize, but it is really interesting that we're turning to just other random people without necessarily credentials or expertise on the internet for information. I say that as I speak to you from a YouTube show about to give you some news and information. But one thing I will say that I appreciate about working alongside Ben since it's been about 6 years. It's been over 6 years now, I think, is that, we try our best to think about what are the through lines in the information that we're giving you, what is important that people aren't getting from mainstream media, and how do we fill in a gap and a void that helps people grow in their understanding of the world around them, and not just makes us feel good, not just gets us the clicks and likes. I mean, because there's a lot of things, and Ben and I have actually fought about this too. There are a lot of things that we could be doing that could get like hella clicks and likes and bring in money and sponsorships and all types of stuff, but that doesn't feel good in alignment with our values. And that also doesn't help us achieve, the objective of making sure people have good content, good information that helps us in our daily decision making or how we're showing up in these various political moments around us. And so, I really think that I wish we lived in an ecosphere on the internet that had more of that focus value alignment, but capitalism. So why would anyone do right? But there are those about us out here who do try in our commentary to do so. And I just, the divisive, it works. The algorithm is set up for that, right? The algorithm is set up for the He-Man woman hater clubs of the world. If you ever saw the Little Rascals movie, you know what I'm talking about. But they're set up for stuff like that. It goes viral. I mean, there's so much information out there about how women in particular, like people might not think about how, commentary like this is then digested and consumed by others on the internet. So while, someone may say specifically, like, well, if you actually listen to what Kevin Samuel says, he actually wasn't really saying X, Y, and Z. Okay, cool, whatever. If that's what your argument is, that's your business. But we don't control how people take what we're saying, right? We don't look at how it reinforces other negative stereotypes that are out there about women, particularly in this instance, as Black women speaking about this. When we think about, the different men's rights activist type segments of the internet that are out there, we don't think about how this is reinforcing. When I'm looking at some of this, like the right-wing sites that are sad or talking about the loss of his life and stuff. Again, loss of life is unfortunate whenever it happens, but when we're looking at like who is co-signing some of what he was saying, particularly when you're thinking about tearing people down, denigrate them. I mean, we see the same thing happen like in the fashion industry and the beauty industry, right? It's a very different way, but it's still happening. And so we need to figure out for ourselves, like, what is our standard of beauty? What do we value? What do we want out of life? And what are we looking for? And sometimes that's not in another person, that's in ourselves. As I venture into the dating world myself these days, like I said, that might be a after hours conversation for us to have. But yeah, like I just think that the whole conversation about how we construct narratives, particularly as we see things just flying across the internet, is super important. And we're really seeing that, happening in the conversation around abortion rights right now, right? I mean, I know the last time I was here, I was talking to you about abortion. I'm back to talk to you about some more abortion. Abortion's on demand for everyone everywhere. That's what people say anyway. But real talk, like that the at the bottom line, like having the access and the rights, like, isn't it wild that we need to establish the right for people to make decisions about their own bodies and health? Like, that is so wild. And when we think about, as Black folks in particular, like some people say, oh, that's not really our issue, that's white people issue or whatever. No, bodily autonomy and self-determination is absolutely a Black people issue. It has been our issue ever since we first landed on this soil. It was our issue all the way through slavery and so on. We have a history of forced birth, forced reproduction. We have a history of forced sterilization, or even sterilization against even our knowledge, right? Up and through the early 70s in some parts, I believe, in like North Carolina. Same with indigenous women, have the issue and history of forced sterilization as well. So when we're thinking about the way in which the state has intervened to control reproductive rights access, historically, and even before the United States even existed, right? Its predecessors did the same thing to us on the same soil. So this is absolutely something that we should be concerned about and having conversations around. It's also why Black women in the repro space align themselves mostly with reproductive justice, which is a broader understanding that looks at bodily autonomy, and the basic right to choose when and if a person is going to parent, how they will parent, and like what parenting looks like for them. Does parenting involve actually giving birth? Does it involve adoption? I mean, there's been a whole conversation after the draft leak. We're exactly, I believe, 1 week post draft leak of the Supreme Court case Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization, the Alito draft decision. And what's really interesting in the conversation that's been happening is that it's been shifting and deflecting from the actual contents in the egregious nature of the opinions of a majority of the Supreme Court in terms of how people's bodies, particularly women and those who are able to give birth, how their bodies are amenable to control. We have seen protests happening all over the country. There are different organizational formations. I believe, the Women's March, along with a broad group of reproductive justice and reproductive health organizations, are having something this week. We've seen, PSL, other groups, tons of different groups getting together. We're also in the middle of abortion, the fundathon for the National Network of Abortion Funds. Over 90 abortion funds around the country are in the process of raising funds. Abortion funds do not ordinarily have the same access to capital like, Planned Parenthood National. Planned Parenthood National just got a ridiculous amount of money, like over $200 million from Jeff Bezos's ex-wife. And that type of money does not necessarily trickle down to abortion funds. And abortion funds work directly to make sure that people trying to receive abortions can actually get some financial support and make that happen, because it's also cost prohibitive for a lot of people. And then abortion funds also work with practical funds or practical resource groups to make sure that people can get support for if you have to travel, especially if you're in some place like Texas or Oklahoma right now, you have to travel out of state, or if you're within a state and have to travel to a clinic there are several clinics where you're in Mississippi, other points that have only one clinic in the entire state. So it's estimated, I believe it's 87% of counties in the country do not have an abortion clinic. So that means if you live somewhere in a state that you're more than likely having to travel a good distance to get there. And then, there are different restrictions and waiting laws. So you might have to go twice. So that means you might have to take off work, or you might have to figure out childcare. There's so many different things that go into someone's ability if they don't live right in the same vicinity as a place that they can reach services. And also, people just think about abortion clinics as places where folks get abortions, right? But a lot of times they provide broader reproductive services. So I got a chance to speak to an abortion provider writing back from Jackson, Mississippi, from the Jackson Women's Health Organization last summer, and the provider in Alabama was just explaining to me that there are other things that they do, because sometimes folks who have had miscarriages or folks who have had abortions can't get gynecological follow-up like they need from a practicing physician in many places, because of that's the other way people's beliefs around abortions can unfortunately impact care. And so they have done basic gyno stuff for different clients just to help them fill in the gap until they can find someone else. I mean, there's long waiting lists. People don't know this, right? Like if you receive Medicaid, there's not, first off, not all doctors are required to accept Medicaid. So you have to find a doctor that will accept Medicaid. Then you have to find a doctor that will accept Medicaid that's actually accepting new patients, like new Medicaid patients specifically. And then you have to possibly even getting on a waiting list. So you're doing all of that to get gynecological care, possibly getting a contraception. That could be months before you've actually received. You could be pregnant, right, by the time you actually finally get in to see a doctor. So people don't think about these things when I'm talking about, it's no big deal what's happening with the Supreme Court, or this isn't really a big issue. It is a really broad issue that has wide implications. When I was talking with the folks in Mississippi, one thing they're explaining to me is that if folks are going to the health department to get their birth control, you can have several months. I think it was like 4 to 6 months on average. You can have a several month wait to get an appointment to get contraception. That's birth control pills. That's finding out about IUD services. That's any type of contraception, right? Other than a condom. That is a ridiculous amount of time to wait if you do not have private medical insurance and already have an established relationship with a doctor. But even when you do have an established relationship with a gynecologist, you might still have a wait to get in. And so we see also issues with maternal mortality and maternal health connected to the abortion case conversation. There are recent studies that have shown that states with, more severe abortion restrictions actually are doing the worst in maternal health and with maternal mortality indices. And as a whole, the United States is abysmal when it comes to other industrialized nations. And not just the supports that it provides, new mothers, new parents, but into maternal health and maternal access as a whole. During the pandemic, there was a waiver provision included in the COVID ARP funds that actually allowed for states to extend the postpartum Medicaid care up to a year, right? It's a permissive thing. So states have to choose to opt to do that. I think the standard right now is like 60 days or something. What we do know, Center for Reproductive Rights and other folks have helped share this information. A lot of this information I also got during Black Maternal Health Week, which took place last month. What we know is that when you have these restrictions in place, right, or you don't have the lack of access, and you have folks who are depending on Medicaid as their health insurance, and this is another reason why Medicare for all, the conversation around Medicare for all, is actually super important. But like there's a lot that happens and post that 60 days postpartum that could potentially impact women's health. I just learned about heart-related complications in pregnancy, working on a piece that I'm working on for today. And you have people, Black women, unfortunately, are disproportionately more likely to have issues with blood clots in their lungs or heart attacks or things of that nature. But what does this have to do with abortion, Anoa? Well, people are so focused on taking away people's right to bodily autonomy that they're not actually passing, whether it's in, many of the southern states or states that have not expanded Medicaid, or even this waiver process, right? Like for pregnant women who are covered by Medicaid, being able to have Medicaid and doctor access up to a year. it makes such a big difference. But I got on this whole tangent about, the medical aspects and abortion restrictions, things like that. But what I wanted to talk about actually was the protests that have been happening, and comparing the protests alongside the different abortion protests that have been happening over the past week, particularly the protests at Kavanaugh's house. People have been like, oh my God, this is so, the Supreme Court justices are being threatened, and this is so horrible. Allegedly, according to reports, some of these people are Kavanaugh's neighbors, and there was at least one reporter had posted on Twitter that the neighbors had actually offered them wine and cheese. This is how dangerous this situation is. I mean, you don't want people protesting in front of your house. Don't end people's right to bodily autonomy, even though it's being alleged that this could actually be in violation of a federal statute. I mean, you know what? Slavery was also legal. And, when things are legal, it doesn't necessarily make it morally right or ethically correct. Right. And this is absolutely this is not a time to threaten people's lives. Do what you do. That's your business. But when people are showing up, making their voices heard, when people are directly challenging authority, because this is the problem with the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is an even more white supremacist, unrepresentative body than the Senate. Wild. The Senate's very, very unrepresentative. Supreme Court even more so, even with, the addition of Judge KBJ, coming soon after Breyer steps down. But when we're thinking about 9 people sitting in a room or in their various offices, floating around drafts, hypothesizing about the law and using interpretations from people from the 1600s to justify denying bodily autonomy, reproductive rights, and justice to, millions of people around the country, there is a problem with this so-called idea of democracy that protects liberty and justice for all, right? I mean, we have 9 people, the majority of whom absolutely okay with denying people's right to abortion and kicking it back to states, as if the states, unchecked, have ever protected people's rights on their own. Now, there are some states that have expanded reproductive access. I think California and Illinois, off the top of my head, are some, possibly also Colorado. But those are still hard fought wins. And if those states turn over, to different control, those rights could go away. Our rights should not be dependent upon who's in charge. They should be established and firm. And when you look at the rationale that's underpinning, the privacy, the right to privacy that is grounded in not just the Roe v. Wade case, which is what, they're looking at using Dobbs to overturn, but also in Griswold, I think it's Griswold v. Connecticut, which established, which banned states from being able to, which overturned states' rights to be able to ban contraception. Right. And so we are seeing some states trying to do such things. Like Missouri has a very extreme law that's trying to put into place that would ban possibly even IUDs, that would ban also, I think, emergency contraception, again, off the top of my head. So I will double check and make sure I have this right for you tomorrow. But even the fertilization, IVF, removing, for folks who have fertility issues or who are trying to, store their eggs, right? So there are a lot of different provisions. I mean, there's some conversation that even the way that states are actually starting to do something, it could actually limit the way people receive treatment for things like ectopic pregnancies and miscarriages, So when we're talking about, they claim that justices are being threatened. To my knowledge, as of last night, there had not been actually established credible threats. What people are calling threats are these protests. You have Cornyn and the Senate moving so quickly to push legislation that would increase security for the justices and their families. So that means Jenny Thomas's seditious self is going to get increased security, more than likely on the taxpayer's dime. How does that work? So when we're just really thinking about what's happening right now, media is just repeating what's being said, right, without actually interrogating. You have Cornyn, you have the Texas senators, Cornyn and Cruz, making these wild statements about, threats of violence and stuff. You have other conservatives, drawing comparisons to a New Jersey judge in 2020 whose husband was murdered and her son was shot. No, her son, I'm sorry. Oof. apologies. Her son was murdered and her husband was shot by a former attorney, men's rights activist that had been before the judge that was really angry. So it's not that there hasn't been violence against judges. People, take their duty seriously, whether we agree with their decisions or not. If they're elected judges, we can vote them. We can work to organize and vote them out, right? Or if there's really something egregious, if there's a judicial code of ethics or other, board that can review their decisions, then maybe in some instances that could be something, whether that's on appeal or if there's some other body that could be in some states, right? Possibility. The problem with the Supreme Court is there is no such body or authority other than Congress that can check them. The Supreme Court's walking around like now, like, who's going to check me, boo? But Congress can act. And the fact that Congress is choosing to act based on conjecture, right, instead of actual facts. Like, Congress is moving faster to protect Supreme Court justices as they are destroying people's rights and access than they are moving to protect the rights and access themselves. We've seen Congress drag its feet, and I mean the Senate in particular drag its feet. And yes, I understand that it's certain factions or configurations within the Senate, but as a whole, the Senate is an extremely unrepresentative body that does not represent nor speak for the people. And when we look at what the Supreme Court is getting ready to do, it falls out of favor with even popular opinion. And I'm one of the last people to talk to say, hey, well, popular opinion says, I mean, the fact that even the majority of even conservatives do not agree with some of the more extreme bans and policies that are happening right now. I mean, Republicans are talking about possibly, if they take back, at least the Senate, but if not both the Senate and the House, they're going to be pushing for a federal abortion ban. And I mean, these are really scary times. And yes, there are a lot of issues going on, voting rights, but if we don't see the intersection between all these issues and the remnants of so-called democracy, I mean, we're going to be doomed. And so that is, my spiel for the day. And I hope you enjoyed this little morning dose of what a Noah. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm wrapping it up because I think James is going to come in with some tunes. Wake it up, perk it up a little bit up in here. But I appreciate y'all. And like I said, if voting is not the only answer for this madness, I think that folks are just like, this is why we need to vote. A lot of us voted in 2020. A lot of us voted a way that maybe we didn't necessarily agree with, and voted we necessarily didn't like or want our preference, but we voted. We did what we were supposed to do. And now we want, folks to show up and do their job. Yes, expanding, a Democratic Senate would, in theory, help us move agendas on voting rights, possibly hopefully finally getting some childcare access, some childcare tax credit, and other needed issues. But that only depends on if people who actually have those values and the moral strength to act get elected. Last thing I will say, because we have, like I said, we have primaries today. We have primaries happening the next 2 Tuesdays of this month. And it really does matter. Primaries absolutely matter. And so if you're in Pennsylvania, Georgia, Alabama, North Carolina, Kentucky, I'm probably missing a couple states, look and see who's on your ballot. And, you never know what's possible. And if you're in a dim, plus 30 state district, it absolutely does still matter that you vote, because having a champion in Congress, even if there's already a dim in that seat, but having someone who's going to be a champion, having someone who's going to stand the line until the line, it absolutely does matter. It helps other people have the strength to stand up, and it helps build those coalitions in Congress to actually push forward. And so there are some folks that I'll be talking about later this week who I think are really dope, but primaries do matter. And, in some of these primaries, it is the general. So we absolutely need to show up. If there's someone on the ballot that is really speaking to you, definitely give them a holler. So I'm going to kick it over to the team on the back end. I really appreciate talking to y'all. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
Good morning, people. Y'all know who it is. You know the voice. You know the sound. James Bubba Williams has entered the chat. Shout out to Noah for holding it down. Can't wait to see you again tomorrow, Noah. You did your thing this morning. We greatly appreciate you. We will see you in the morning. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. We have more coming up next on the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show. On the Clock with Georgia Fort is coming up next. Good morning, everybody. I'm mad y'all be talking about Bubba up early. Like, this is not the normal time I come on. What the hell wrong with y'all? Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Y'all get your coffee or tea, whatever it is you need to get your morning started, man. Good morning, everybody. Alicia, Amber, good morning. Teresa, Laura, A.R. Walker, Pray Name, Spin Cycle, Tiger, Laura Estrada, Juanita, Iris Jones, Jason, good morning. Roller Dragon, Cosmo Wiz, Boondocks Dragon. What's going on? Good morning, everybody. Case Kareem, good morning. My camera looks so dark today. She's giving really 720p energy. Silk City, good morning. Mary C. Kareem, good morning to you. Carly Wynn, Laney Lou, Deb, good morning. The Big Piece, good morning to y'all. Damn, $6.95. I'm sorry. William Moore, good morning to you. Zachariah, good morning. On duty, not too much or too sweet. Passion from your truly. Let me know how you feel. All right, y'all know what time it is. Today is Tuesday, May 10th, 8:33 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which means that right now we are on the clock with Georgia Fort. Good morning.
Good morning. I am independent journalist Georgia Fort, and this is On the Clock. To all the mothers, I hope you had a wonderful Mother's Day. My family gathered around me and celebrated me this weekend, and I did what I could to celebrate the mothers in my life, including those whose children have been killed by police. In honor of them, Nico from Unicorn Riot, myself, launched a podcast over the weekend called The Mothers. Right now, we have 10 episodes that we're going to be releasing over the next few months, every Sunday. And in the first episode is a interview with Dorothy Kopp Elliott, the mother of Archie Elliott, who was killed in Maryland. And the thing about this case that really stood out to me and why I think we wanted to open the series with it is it happened many decades ago at a time when there was no body camera footage. And so to think back of all of the families who we don't even know about, who don't have any video evidence to really show whether or not the police narrative lines up with, what actually happened. And so if you guys have a chance, go ahead, check out the Mothers Podcast. It's available on all platforms as well as Unicorn Riot's site. But right now, I want you guys to take a listen. Here's a clip from the podcast.
Welcome to The Mothers, a podcast that centers the voices of women from across America whose children were killed by police.
I'm independent journalist Georgia Fort.
And I'm Nico Georgiadis from Unicorn Riot.
If Archie Elliott don't get it, if Archie Elliott don't get it.
Before getting started, we wanted to share a little bit of what to expect in this series.
This series will be 10 episodes and will include the stories of mothers who we've interviewed over the last few years.
When talking to the mothers, we saw a lot of similarities from the mothers' stories. Mm-hmm. We saw a lot of the narrative would come out from the police or from the corporate news, and that would never be adjusted in the media. The narrative would always demonize the victim. And with those similarities also, we saw a lot of residual effects from these mothers. When we're talking to them, you could hear and feel their pain that they're going through, and the pain of their family members.
Yeah. You know, now after George Floyd, I think our country is prepared to have a conversation about what truly needs to happen in police departments all across this country so that everybody can feel safe. And when wrongdoing happens, when misconduct happens, that someone is held accountable. So again, if you get a chance, you can check that out on any streaming platform. We are we feel very honored and humbled that these mothers have allowed us to share their stories. And it's something that we've been working on for actually several years. I think about 2 years before George Floyd was murdered, we started interviewing mothers all across the country. And specifically in the first episode, I'll share just a little with you here before we move on. But Dorothy's son, Archie, was fatally shot while he was still handcuffed. And so it makes it very difficult to understand how police who say, you know, he may have been resisting, you know, or made these other accusations, to think about someone being fatally shot while handcuffed, you know, even decades later, still perplexes me. So definitely check that out. DJ Exclusive, I just realized that you're here with me.
Yes.
How was your
Good
Mother's
morning
Day
to you.
weekend? Good morning.
It was fun.
Good
It
morning.
was cool. You know, we know that a lot of stuff was going to be going on Sunday. So we got together with all the adults on Friday and went out to eat, took all the moms out to eat. And then Sunday, we went to the house and just kicked it with mom for a few. And that was it. So it was pretty chill, pretty fun. I enjoyed myself. How was your Mother's Day? And happy belated Mother's Day to you as well, Georgia.
Thank you. It was beautiful. I wanted to surprise other mothers this Mother's Day. So I popped up at my sister's house with some candles and some coffee and did the same for a few other women. There's this Black-owned candle line that I discovered called Kobe Co. And their mission is self-care through scents and sounds. And so I really, really love these candles, not only because they smell great and they have cool little either like stones or flowers inside the candle, but then also on the back of it, there is a little code where you can scan and hear the customized playlist that goes with the candle. So one of their candles is called, it's super dope. One of their candles is called Purple Rain. And of course, the playlist is all Prince music. So I really like that. And you can customize it. So let's say you and a friend or you and whoever you're getting the candle for has like your songs that you always listen to. You can customize a Spotify playlist to go with a candle and you can name the candle. It's super dope. I love it. If you guys haven't heard of Kobe Co., check them out. This is a shameless plug, but everybody who I gifted them with, you know, these candles, they absolutely loved them. So that's what I did this Mother's Day.
And Georgia, please drop that in the Slack so I can go support, because I just ordered all these candles from Bath and Body Works, and I would rather give my money to a Black-owned business rather than Bath and Body Works. Okay.
That's right. That's right. We're seeing actually a lot of Black-owned candle companies pop up here. A dear friend of mine, she also started a candle line as well. And so, yeah, I've only been buying candles from Black vendors the last few months. And I'll send another one, Minnesota Black Box. They have a quarterly candle collection that they send out every 3 or 4 months, only from Black-owned candle makers. So you can sign up and they'll send it to you for the whole year. So every 3 months, you'll get a new set of candles. So, yeah.
Yes, indeed. You know, I'm a candle person too now, because he's trying to make me spend more money, Georgia. That's okay. I'll do it, though.
Is good.
It is good.
This is a good way to spend your money, because for me, the candles help me relax and unwind. And then when I pair it with music, it's a whole vibe. So
Right. I'm here for it.
this morning, DJ Exclusive, I did want to speak with you all about the new thing that Biden is working on. And I say thing because I feel like this is something that should have happened a long time ago. President Biden has announced that he is working to make high-speed internet affordable for everybody. And coming out of the pandemic, even though I know numbers are probably going to be spiking here towards the end of summer,
Right.
uh, saying coming out of the pandemic, meaning kids have, for the most part, all across the country, gone back to school now, right? Think about last year, all of the families who didn't have access to high speed internet and their kids were at home trying to do virtual learning. Parents were at home trying to work from home. These are the things when we talk about access and we talk about racial inequities, it's small things like high speed internet that make the world of a difference.
Yeah.
And for this to just now be a conversation, and this isn't just, a black and brown problem. Kids in rural America seldomly have access to the internet because the internet companies haven't gone out there and equipped their communities with what's needed. So this is also affecting rural America, people who are living on farms or living further out in lower populated cities. It just feels like this is something that should have happened a decade ago, to be honest.
Yeah, you are absolutely right, Georgia. Especially this day and age, you would have thought that 45 would have did something just to make sure that he got his supporters on there. But yeah, I think this is just, I honestly think this is one of those things that Biden is doing to try to appease the American people, because we see he's not doing anything with student loans or student debt besides just thinking about it. So at least now we'll have high-speed internet in these low-income communities, and everybody will be able to be on the grid now and do what they need to do and work from home.
And the other side of that, though, is how much pushback is there going to be from these huge companies?
Yes.
Will the internet providers allow this to happen, or are they going to form a coalition? Because the evolution of the mobile industry to me is fascinating. I think probably because our generation lived through like all of it, all the way back to the flip phones and the Nokias. And, I remember my mom had the original cell phone in her car, right? But remember when, before the internet like really took off like that on cell phones, you had to pay for your data. And hey, I'm gonna call your minutes. I'm gonna call you back after 9. I'm gonna call you on the weekend, because you only had so much. And if you went over, you got charged an arm and a leg. And then when text messages started coming out, they said, oh, we'll give you unlimited data or unlimited minutes, but when it comes to your text messages, you only have 500 text messages.
Yeah.
It's like they have rationed out what we can get so that they can make money. And if you send 501, boy, they are taxing you. And then now it's the data. So now, you might have unlimited 2G data, but you only have 10 gigabytes of 5G data. And once you go over that, either your internet slows down or you start getting charged. So at every turning point in the mobile industry, they have really tried to capitalize on whatever method of communication is in highest demand. So for Biden to come in and say that he's going to put a ceiling at how high these internet companies can charge people, I don't see these companies just saying, oh, okay, unless there's some subsidy, unless he gives them a tax break, or unless they figure out something else that they can monetize. I just don't see this happening without any pushback.
Yeah, I agree, especially from the big name ones. And I see David is saying that the 20 companies agreed to cap. So it has to be some kind of trade-off, because if you really think about it, T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T, let's be honest, this is how they make their majority of their money, is by these data caps. And Georgia, it's funny, we were sitting at the table on Friday talking about the evolution of the cell phone and how we used to wait until after 9 o'clock to call each other and everything. But yeah, it just seems like there has to be some kind of trade-off or some kind of break that the administration is going to do when it comes to this, because I just don't see them going quietly into the night with these data caps.
It's gotta be something in it for them. And if they get a tax break, it obviously is probably going to save them more money than what they would make. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. These are not nonprofit businesses. These are for-profit businesses who are in business to make money. So, there's got to be some incentive that is going to outweigh whatever cost they could charge us. But that also is problematic when we are constantly giving breaks to these huge corporations. I think we need to start to live in a society where both things can be true. There can be a cap on the costs, and these huge corporations can still pay their taxes to feed the ecosystem. Because their CEOs are making far more money than their lowest paying customer, and so at what point, as we're seeing the middle class shrink, we talked about this last week, the middle class has shrunk 11% in the last few decades, and it's because of things like this, because we'll cap something, but then these corporations don't have to pay taxes. So then who is paying taxes?
Right.
We are. Either way, the lowest percentage of income earners in America are still footing the bill.
Absolutely. And it, like you said, now is like that middle class. At one point, this was paying for internet. My God, today it's like almost paying for a car note. So I'm just like, okay, I'm just like, now it became one of those things where it was just a want. Now it's definitely a need or a requirement for daily life. Because like I said, I work from home, so I got to have this hotspot, which is charged by T-Mobile, or the home internet Wi-Fi, which is also by T-Mobile, because everybody else is expensive as crap. So
yeah, I still am trying to figure out who has the best internet. Because everybody who claims to have the best internet, and I think we probably know better than anybody because we do this show every day.
Right.
And
last week was a testament.
Whatever internet Ben has,
that's not it.
It's not the best. But in fairness, I think it changes by region. Like Verizon might be like, everything in the Midwest, but when you go to the South, maybe it's not. T-Mobile, Sprint, so it just kind of depends too on what region you're in. But I feel like I have tried AT&T, I've tried Verizon, I think I've tried every, especially portable internet provider, and they all suck.
Right, George. Look, I think I'm just like you. I've tried AT&T. I currently have T-Mobile because it was the cheaper version. But Xfinity was probably the best one for me. And it's crazy because there's a T-Mobile tower right outside of my window right here. And if I have more than 2 or 3 devices going at one time, it still goes all the way out.
Wow.
So Xfinity is the best, but they are also like the worst at customer service, and just the price wise, after those few months over of that special, my God, today.
I was wondering, because we had Sprint, and then Sprint got bought out by T-Mobile. And so they started switching everything over, and I just feel like my internet started to get worse. I don't know what it is about T-Mobile. I used to be with T-Mobile way, way, way back in the day, and They just seem like the cheap off-brand, you know,
the knockoff of everything.
the Cricket.
Yes.
And so I don't know what it is about T-Mobile, but yeah, it reminded me of when, I don't know if you guys probably don't have Super Americas down there, but Super Americas is a gas station and it got bought out by Speedway. And it's just like this janky brand. I'm like, why didn't you guys keep the other brand? The other brand was better. It's the same thing with T-Mobile. I feel like T-Mobile should have just kept the Sprint brand. It
kept
had
the Sprint brand. Yep.
Yeah, they should have just switched over.
The name alone was like much quicker.
Whoever their marketing person is fired. Whoever made that decision, there has to have been some sentimental connection to T-Mobile, because it was not the superior brand. They would have made more money if they would have switched to Sprint. I'm just saying.
You right?
I'm just saying.
And, oh my God, George, we are terrible. I've had just about every single cell phone company by far here, and I think Verizon was probably the best for me. AT&T probably second, and then Sprint, T-Mobile was last. And then when they merged, it's like, oh, okay, so now I'm really still at the bottom. Cool. All this coverage, but just the sucky network. The network is terrible.
Yeah. So you never had a Cricket?
No, never. Had a Boost Mobile. Had Boost Mobile and Metro, so I just might as well say yes, I've had a Cricket.
Same thing, right?
Same thing.
Oh, I love it. Do we dare ask folks to call in?
Oh my
and
God.
Share their internet cell phone stories with us? Do we dare? Because everybody has one. Everybody, and you think about the Alicia Keys song, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? That's been all of us at some point. That's been all of us at some point.
Hands down, those commercials just summed it up in every way. He's like, can you hear me now? How about now? Can you hear me now? Okay, cool. Still no signal? Cool. And it's still the same thing to this day. I don't understand it.
It is. Especially, I realized when you're in super crowded areas, like when we're covering, the protest or a big event or something, it is so hard to get internet service. We would try to stream. If everybody was streaming, then it's hard to connect to the tower, I guess. And then I found out that they have these chips that you can put in your phone or whatever device you're using for internet, and it gives you cell tower priority. So it means that if you're around 100 or 200 people, that your device would have the priority to connect to the signal. Apparently, it's the same chip that emergency providers like the police department or medics have. And some media stations have them as well, but they're expensive. It's basically like paying for a secondary internet provider. It's, whatever your internet bill is, double it. And then that's how you get chip priority.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I'm all right. I think I experienced that one time, and that was when we went to a Beyonce concert. When I tell you, it's just like I'm trying to upload everything, had nobody's signal. I'm just like, I gotta wait to send all of this stuff when I get out of the concert. All these damn people.
It's crazy. Can they fix that? Can Biden, while he's talking to all of these cell phone companies, can they fix that? Because that's not fair. If you have 100 customers in one place, our internet should still work the same. I mean, I don't get it.
Like, we should be pinging off of each other in this damn stadium to the towers that are around the stadium as well, too. We should have a superior connection. There was that many people together, you would think, but no.
Something, Yeah, I want them to fix that. But I also do want Biden to get rid of student loan debt. I see we have some callers. Laura, if you are here with us, state what city, state you're calling from, and share your comment.
Good morning. This is
Good morning.
Calling from California.
Good morning, Laura.
Good morning, everybody. Can I first say it's an honor to talk to you, Georgia? You're
Thank
like,
you.
you are a huge inspiration for us women. So I'm very honored to be
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
So you want to talk about phones? I was mentioning in the chat that I think I've gotten to a lot of fights with the whole "Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?" back and forth. With other people. It happened yesterday,
Love
and
it.
then you both go silent, and then you both go at the same time. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
And then you both go silent.
Oh,
Someone gets pissed and goes, "I'm here." Like, okay, but like, yeah, I've actually had like a couple fights where before this conversation even starts, they're pissed at me and I'm pissed at them. So
funny. And who is your cell provider?
Verizon, which I've always liked, I've always have. They've been good, but even though you get on those plans with family members and one person does it, my mom did that whole. We have that whole family thing going on, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad because my nieces that are in their 20s mess it up all the time for us.
Of course. Of course. Well,
That's how
Laura,
it
thank you
always
so much
happens.
for calling.
Thank you guys. Have a good day.
You
Thanks,
as well.
Laura.
You as well. And I believe Tyler is on the line. Tyler, where are you calling from? And share your comment with us.
Hi, calling from Golden Valley, Minnesota. So your neck of the woods.
Yep, right around the corner.
So yeah, I like to say, yeah, I've also had these problems. Like, can you hear me now and all that. Yeah, it's even I think even when y'all are doing this show, it's like there's always some sort of like tech issue or something going on. Like
Always.
Every day.
Yeah, as
Never
last week
fails.
clearly showed. Yeah. I mean, I've grown up pretty much with like access to the internet pretty much all of my life. I'm considerably younger than everybody else here, so I mean, it's never been like a huge issue for me. Like when it cuts out or does something weird, it's just always been part of life for me.
Yeah, a part of life for all of us. And who's your provider?
AT&T.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're okay.
Right. And I know
Yeah.
Tyler is one of the younger viewers. So Tyler, you're 21, correct?
20.
20. So I'm always curious to see how it was. I know with us, we came up through the age where, okay, that first part where we didn't have internet, it was just talking on the phone. You stay up all night holding the phone with the cord and everything. Pagers.
Right, yes.
Oh my God.
All of it. So with Tyler, it's like I feel like I think you and my niece are around the same age, so it's like y'all came out with phones in your hand, damn near.
Almost, yeah. I mean, when I was like very little, I remember like just talking with people and face to face and all that. Like before, like the before times, basically. but yeah, like it's a huge difference for my parents who came of age in the 80s when the internet wasn't even like a huge thing at all. So yeah.
Well,
Right.
Tyler, thank you so much for giving us a call this morning. We are on the clock, so we appreciate you, Tyler. Thanks so much. And it's so funny to think about pagers here as we wrap things up. I remember talking to my 13-year-old daughter just last week, and she's like, "What are pagers?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I cannot believe I'm explaining this to you."
Right.
And I'm like, it was basically kind of like a text message before a text message. If you didn't have a cell phone, you had a pager. Pagers were a lot cheaper. you would send a little, it would pop up on the screen and you would know who you had to call. But it wasn't always like, sometimes we had codes.
Yeah. Oh my God.
You put your number 911 or
911, yeah.
There was a couple other, I'm not going to get into this early in the morning,
God. But that's our Rebecca. Rebecca's in the chat and she says the other one. That's the one we used to always do.
Y'all know what it is. I ain't got to say
I can't stand y'all.
All right. Well, you guys have a wonderful day. Stick around for more on the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show.
Shout out again to Georgia Fort and On the Clock. That was hilarious. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. Rebecca's in the building. Like it or not, it's coming up next. Good morning, everybody.
When I get you back, oh yeah. When I get you back, oh yeah. When I get you back, oh yeah. I promise you'll never leave me. When it comes to you and me, there's no one else I'd rather be with. Baby, I won't let you down. I got it.
Brother KFZ, good morning to you. Alicia, good morning, Alicia. Ism Onassis, what's going on? Mom and Daddy, I saw y'all in there. Good morning, y'all. Shout out to Juanita who joined the BPD Patreon. We appreciate y'all. New Twitch subscribers. We got Joe B. Chill. Richest 5888. Wait, I said it wrong. Richest 558 resubscribed and commented, I'm one of those bad singers, so I won't torture anyone. LOL. They've been subscribed for 13 months. Richest 558. That's the whole point. You come on and you sing your little heart out. Chicken Fried Dragon resubscribed and commented, sorry for my absence. I've been dealing with some stuff. Should have things sorted out in a week or two. Thanks for the love and support. And they've been subscribed for 13 months. Chicken Fried Dragon, we love you. Sammy Lynn, the Con Dragon, resubscribed and they've been subscribed for 13 months. Come on, man. All these people subscribed for over a year. Love it. I love it, love it, love it. Excuse me. Cluminati 017 resubscribed and commented 7 months. I'm here for this and still this is for the culture. They've been subscribed for 7 months. Thunderous Dragon resubscribed and commented, maybe this will help me and get better internet. Freaking hilarious. They subscribed for 11 months. Wing the Ultimate Nug rated our channel with 4 viewers, and non-binary superpowers cheered 100 bits, man. We appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Mean it. Don't forget patreon.com/the BPD show, patreon.com/like it or not. Join today, Friday. Patron party on Friday. Make sure that you have your face in the place. I'm not sure what we're going to do yet. I think I want to do a theme. Y'all inbox me and let me know what you think. DJ X3C on shut up. I can't stand this girl. Y'all hit me up on my inbox. Well, see what ideas we coming for our Patreon party. DJ X3C on Instagram or Twitter. Y'all hit me up. Let's see what we got. Okay. You know what I need to do instead of playing that song? Let me go ahead and roll this intro because Rebecca is here waiting. We don't never have Rebecca on time. So we're going to skip right to the song. Good morning, Rebecca. I love you. Mean it.
Y'all know what time it is. Good morning, y'all. Get your coffee, your tea, remix.
Right.
It's time for Like It or Not, y'all. 9 a.m. to 10:30, yeah. Like It or Not is on your channel, yeah. Politics and culture is we change skin like we're supposed to, yeah. Interviews and all the news, we get to choose what gets to do. Like It or Not, with it's starting now, so stick around. Like it or not.
I just remixed the hell out of that. Y'all like that, didn't y'all?
Like it or not, y'all stick around.
Rebecca, I need you to write me some lyrics for this song, the remix, okay?
It's coming.
Because I'm on 2 different computers, Rebecca, that's why.
Good story for you. Oh, Benjamin, that's my dog. This is
Industrial Arts, good morning to you.
He's a politics bro.
6 Dragon Daddy, what's going on? Stay up that pole.
DJ exclusive. Y'all know who I am.
I stay dropping them jams.
Like it or not, it's going down. Like it or not, y'all stick around. Oh, like it or not, it's starting now. Like it or not, it's about to go down.
Like It or Not with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
You know, before we jump into it, when I was a kid, my social network was called Outside. Good morning, everybody.
Yeah. Was that a dad joke or was that your real?
No, that was a dad joke. But I mean, it was honest. It goes back to what we were talking about, like the last portion, talking about the cell phones. I'm just like, literally, my social network was called Outside. It was.
No, I was going to say that's actually true. That's like facts.
That's a fact.
Not. Yeah, that was a thing. It was definitely our social networks were outside. I was not of age to have a beeper, but my father had a beeper. We knew what beepers were. And so when we would call our father, we would, 911, call us back. He still got the same number to this day.
Really?
He transitioned from Bell South.
What?
Yeah, some people don't know Bell South.
They don't know Bell South.
Transitioned from Bell South. He went into Singular Wireless.
Ooh, Singular
into AT&T. And now he's sitting back with Metro PCS. He said he would never go there, and he went there because he said the bills were getting too high. He said he doesn't remember it, cell phones being that high. And so now here they are. Here we are. We are paying. The days of getting the free phone. You remember when you used to get the free phone ad in the mail, and it would be like the brick phone, like the one that just got ding 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 ding, ding with the antenna right here. Here go the antenna. Here go my face is the phone, and here go the antenna. And my braces are the keypads. And it was before they came out with the Nokia with the snake on it. And I ain't talking about the snake in color. I'm talking about the greenish screen with the snake moving like this. Y'all know the days. I remember, like, seriously, it was before when the pink razor came out. It was before the My Touch, because you had the Sidekick and you had the My Touch and the Blueberry. The Blackberry and BBM, because you didn't have iMessage. You had BBM. Blackberry Messenger, and you was that. I had a Pearl Blackberry. It was all white. Pearl, baby, it's shining the light.
Ooh, that was my favorite one. I know exactly which one you're talking about.
And you had to have money to have that all white.
And then I'm gonna hit you with it. And then when they came out with the Nextel Blackberry that had the chirp in it, and it was still a Blackberry phone.
Yep. See, I didn't know about that. I remember when they had the Nextels come out, everybody. Where you at, right? And then my dad, because we were still doing Singular into AT&T Bell South mix, right? And he's like, you need to get your first phone. I said, Dad, I don't want what the other kids have. Like, I don't want that phone. He was like, well, they don't have Nextel on here, and they came up with push to talk, right? It was called push to talk with AT&T. It was also the where you at, but it was called push to talk. It didn't roll through, for the whole time because we already had Nextel. But my thing is, my dad was interrupting me during my job. Becky, And I'm like, this is a walkie-talkie. This is literally a walkie-talkie.
That's all it was. And when I tell you, when it came out, and when because we were in college when it came out. When I tell you, the professors and advisors and everything, they were mad as hell, because here it is, we'll be in class before we knew how to like silence them, especially if you didn't silence it. Oh my God. You'd be in class, hey, what up, Jit? Where the hell you at, Jit? God damn. Oh my God.
It is wild, like how everything has changed. And I feel like I'm in a time, now I can pick and choose. I don't want the new culture to just enrage me and I just have to buy everything. There are some things I'm just like I said, this is my last iPhone. This iPhone 13 Pro, whatever. This is my last iPhone that I'm purchasing until the wheels fall off of this mug, because there was no way that I am paying for a phone that costs my rent money. I don't see it.
Girl, you said that.
Now, it don't make sense. Half of the phone is my car note. Let me see. 10 times the phone is weekly groceries. It's a week of gas. 10 weeks of gas. You got to be smart about this. Make it make sense. I remember I felt the pressures when I was younger to have all the latest and the greatest. The latest and the greatest that I want now, new furniture.
Yeah.
I want
new video games.
What kind of linen sheets are those? Like, wow, this is really soft. I need a back massager. Okay, things that I'm not going to give up. Getting manis and petties. I'm not giving that up. So having a cell phone where you could just call me and text me, and nowadays I got a MacBook. You could do the same thing on the MacBook.
Yeah.
Like, come on, like see, now I'm starting to sound a little old, but this is where I'm at with it. I'm all right.
That's okay, because child, I still got this stank ass 11, and when I tell you the only reason that I gotta replace it is because it's starting to do stupid shit. That's all.
Same. It is the exact same. The 11, I just switched from the 11 to this. Nothing is really different, baby. You ain't missing out on me.
Look, and that's why I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and wait till the 14 to come out, because it's about to come out now in like 2 or 3 months. So I'm just like, ain't no need to update. And then y'all want me to put 25. A down payment on it. I'm just like, I'm gonna do all of that. I won't do no down payment. Y'all already making me pay out for this dumbass phone. I don't want to do none of that. Just give me a new video game. Give me some new furniture. I'm good to go. Some new artwork. Give me that. I'm good, because it's not it no more.
I want to go and buy like things that mean something. I go grocery shopping because now it's crazy, guys. I remember 2 years ago, I'm like, "Ooh, girl, I don't be in the kitchen." I'm in the kitchen every weekend.
Yeah,
I am in the kitchen. I cook.
You said on the weekends?
Every weekend, I am in the kitchen. I make sure I cook maybe I think twice during the week, and then I cook on the weekends because it's just me. So yes, and I'm cooking like Haitian food. This weekend I made glio. I don't even eat pork, but I have bought it because the other week when I was performing, doing my third job, because I got 3. When I was performing,
come on, somebody.
I had to I literally had no food in my fridge when I came from that total weekend where Ben kept saying I was missing. I was working hard that week, and I had pulled up to my house, and I was so sad because I forgot to do groceries. And I did not have any food. And I made sure that next day I went to the grocery store and I shopped. I'll tell you why. It reminded me of the days when I first moved here and I could not afford to eat. And I said, I will never, ever in my life feel that way again. The next day I went to the grocery store. I said, you are not going to be hungry in your life. I put all the groceries in there, and I realized I had bought some pork. I don't really eat pork, but pork shoulders are what we make Haitians make glio out of. And I said, it's Haitian Heritage Month. It's my birthday coming up soon. And let me go ahead and, put this to the test. Honey, I made glio, baby. I made fried pork, baby, with fried plantains on the side and some pickles, okay? Baby, I didn't say coleslaw. I said pickles, spicy, cabbage. It was really good. And I was like, Rebecca, you did that. But yes, I'm in this house cooking every weekend because it costs. When I go to lunch and I go to dinner, I don't pay for that.
Child, it must be nice, child. I wish somebody pay for my shit.
I don't pay for that. I'm on dates and stuff. I don't pay for. I don't do that. When we on
Cosmo
dates,
yes, we do.
Out, listen, when he asking you out, if anybody asking you out, Bubba, if they, he, she, them, whoever is asking y'all out on a date, and you didn't go seek for them, make sure they paying for your meal, because you got to get into your vehicle.
Right.
But you put gas in. You got to take a shower with the water that you pay for every day. You got to put on clothes, fix your hair if you need to, put on some makeup, and go on that lunch, brunch, dinner date. They better be paying.
Okay, Rebecca, do
Yeah.
you know how to make brown stew? Is it brown stew?
You talking about
Stewed
bouillon?
chicken?
Bouillon.
Stewed chicken, I think it is.
Bouillon.
It's like, yeah, you gotta make me some with some rice and peas and all that stuff.
I just started in that arena, so yes, I got you, honey. She's been in the kitchen cooking fries, all kinds of things. She's getting it. So
because my other Haitian friend showed to act like he don't know how to cook it, but that's okay.
Baby, when it's in your blood, all you gotta do is go in the kitchen and say, "Ancestors." They start telling you don't measure nothing. They start telling you what to put in. You start okay. You don't wrist work be nice. Anywho, there's so much going on in the news. I know we haven't been with you guys. Friday was a show that we missed, and we may be doing that a little more often. We might be doing the best of the week shows, and we may be possibly, because I know you guys know, as you know, I will be returning back to the office. So the mornings I may not be with you. I may be doing pre-recorded stuff just to get you guys ready for what's to come in the future. Let's hope I am with you guys live each and every day. But right now, we're moving towards the building. So I don't want to be in there. I'm like I said, I tell you guys this all the time. I'm fighting a tooth and nail. I'm trying.
Yeah.
So far, They gave me 2 extra days. Don't worry about it. My nail's broken, but they gave me only two extra days, y'all. So I'm praying that God continues to work in my favor on that instance, and I will definitely give you guys an update as soon as possible. But with that, there's so many updates that we've had during this week. The few stories that I chose for the week, though, that they're not even as big as the scope because the week has had so much. I actually wanted to start with, and I know I didn't drop that one. I dropped that one pretty late in the game. David, don't fight me, please. I love you, mean it. But
David already be prepared for you, Rebecca. It's okay.
Yeah, and we're in the StreamYard, so it makes it better. It's in the Slack. But yesterday, this was breaking news late in the evening, or a little late in the evening. Young Thug, Young Thug, and rapper Gunna were amongst the 28 people indicted on 56 counts, and the charges include murder, armed robbery, and more. So this was basically, they were saying they were indicted on, what is it, RICO charges. Now, if you haven't already, yes, go ahead. If you haven't already, Google that, because we all did yesterday night.
Because I was hoping that you'll be able to explain, because
after my Googling and my everything that I've done. So honestly, when I went to go look it up, a lot of people say you don't really hear much about people discussing RICO. So RICO stands for Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organization. So basically organized crime. And examples of RICO are illegal gambling, prostitution, collection of unlawful debt, money laundering, and counterfeit, kidnapping, and murder for hire. There was one of these cases in the reporting where they reported, and this was reported by WSB-TV, they reported that one of the charges, Young Thug is accused of renting a 2014 Infiniti Q50 sedan from Hertz, which was used in the commission of the murder of Donovan Thomas Jr., a rival gang member, on January 10th, 2015. And this is part of the group, the gang that Young Thug has, which is YSL, I think, Young Slime, whatever the L stands for. But this is part of his gang members who are affiliated with the Bloods. So, of course, that was a murder for hire. So they say, this is allegedly, and Gunna, who was part of, and he's a young man. I think Gunna's like, 22? Gunna, who was part of Young Thug's crew, he is amongst the people who have been indicted, amongst those 28 people, on 56 charges.
And Gunna is Chloe's boyfriend, right?
Mm-hmm.
From Chloe and Halle. Yeah.
I don't know if they're really dating, because he said he's looking for love and she said she's single most recently. But the most important thing is that baby just got really hot. Yes, he's been rapping for a while, but he really just got hot. And also, Young Thug's the mother of his child, I think about a little over a month ago, she was shot down in an incident here in Atlanta at a skating rink or a bowling alley, something like that. But she was shot down. Now he is potentially leaving behind, because that's the first thing that I thought of. He's potentially leaving behind his son with no parent. So my heart goes out to the kid. I first thought about that. I saw somebody else put that on Twitter, and that's the first thing I thought about. Also, Bubba, if we can just touch on this for 2 seconds, and we'll get to some political news as well. My thing is, I know when the feds be on your back, I know this, the feds is watching, so I can't really speak too hard. But I know in my own circle, my close circle, this has been something that touched home for me. But understanding that feds, people, we will see people get killed in cold blood. And I'm not saying that what's happening with Young Thug and Gunna is not valid or valid. I'm not saying any of that, because I'm going to get to them in a second as well. But we'll see so many things happen in front of us. Black people die and all of this stuff, and they will spend their dollars. But the feds and the police officers and all them, they will spend their dollars, especially if they lost the case, like feds lost a situation, because we've heard Young Thug rapping his music. He done beat a case, got caught a lawyer, might beat a case again. They always sing about that or rap about that. They'll work hard to get you again. If you think that they're off of your back, they will continuously be on your back, as we've seen recently with ASAP Rocky when the feds came to his home. Yep. But we look at them every day. We look at police officers and feds and people dressed in plain clothing, pulling up to protests, abusing people on camera and things like that, killing hours, and it takes us forever to go through trials, to do all of this. They don't put in as much work to get these people off the streets. Also, we had, if we're talking about RICO, right? Why haven't a lot of these politicians, including Donald Trump, been, why hasn't this touched them at all? I just say that because I thought it was interesting. That's just me in my Hotep moment. Now, but moving forward to this, why is it? Because like I said, this has been close in my circle too. Why is it that these people get money, become millionaires, and feel like, and then give back to their communities, right? Give back to their communities, because gang members, they be giving back. They'll take care of their communities. They'll make sure they're protected. That's a normal thing. That's not. But my thing is, why is it that they come in? They come from the streets. They make it. What they saying nowadays? They get it out the mud. They came from the trenches. That's what they say. And a little back in the early 2000s, they started from the bottom. Here's the thing, though. When they come out of that, I don't understand why they keep getting pulled back. It's okay to leave the streets. It doesn't make you less. It doesn't take away your stripes, because you've been there. You lived that. You are a millionaire. You made it. You are an example. And I'm not saying that you have to strive to be an example, but people are looking at you. Like, kids are looking at you. People are looking at you, not for you to only be their hood savior, but to show them how they can make it out. If there is a way to invest the money and do something with it. If there is a way to, you don't have to go back and put guns back into the streets. You don't have to go back and start ordering hits on you are still a leader to them. And you were a leader when you didn't have no money, when you made that gang, and you're still a leader to them now. Look at the great that you can do with your life. Now, potentially the feds got something on you because you beat a case. Now they've been following you, just putting stuff against you. People in your circle have been talking against you. Now you don't even know what kind of case they built against you, all because you chose to stick to the streets. You made it out. There are so many things that you can do. You got children. You got kids.
Not only that, you got money as well too, and you still want to run the streets and do all this illegal shit when you don't have to. And and Rebecca, you're right. That's what kills me about it, because Young Thug and Gunna both are hot rappers. They have potential to be a lot. Young Thug been doing all kind of crazy stuff for years, but has great music. His weird ass. But now you want to throw this all away because you can't leave this street shit alone. And that's what it is. Leave it alone. You got all this money, man. Why you want to keep doing stuff like this?
It makes me sad. Like, I was just watching all of this unfold, and then the potential. This is in the news because I ain't no snitch. So if I ain't hear it in the news, I would never say nothing. But even with I don't know these kids' names, but YFN Lucci, who was, I think, a part of a rival gang, him being in jail and allegedly accusing, he didn't accuse them, but he said that he was being stabbed in jail, or he was, there was an incident where that young rapper was stabbed in jail. And it turns out he They say that it was a hit ordered by the YSL gang member leader. Now, I don't know what's happening. I really hope for the best out of this for them. I don't know. I want them to beat the case. I don't, but all parties involved, all these moving parts, it just makes me think about, hey, when we get out, when we make it, it's like either we helping our folks or we just getting away from it all. Like I wouldn't even be mad if you got away from it all, because the streets are addictive. When that's all you know, like I said, I know somebody in my really, really close circle that couldn't leave the streets alone. Got shot, was making money, one of the top members of his crew, couldn't leave the streets alone at all. Fed's been on his back ever since. He tried to go and walk a clean straight line, get a 9 to 5, but it was that fast money. Even though he was making good money doing that 9 to 5, it was that fast money and being a leader to the hood. It's like everybody looking for you to go back to what you was doing, and it just brings you down. But it's just so much. Like I said, I hope the best for him, but I also want the feds have that same energy.
Yeah,
with them
that's
folks
real.
Have that same energy with the people that we know that are killing people every single day. Black folks, regular schmegalers, KKK leaders. Like we need that same energy. We need that same energy. So
and I know like this whole thing, if it's Young Thug and 28 more, they probably put somebody in that camp a long time ago to just look at all the shit they've been doing.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Now
and before you move on to politics, just want to know, did anybody hear Kendrick Lamar's new song, The Heart, Part 5?
Sure did. Him morphing
Christ.
into all of those people. I still am trying to get why Juicy Smollett. Still trying to get why he morphed into him, but I think it's because it's potentially a situation there where I was talking about how the cops put in so much work, even though he did a lot. We don't got to go back there because it's going to take us into another circle around the block inside of a deep dark hole. But I think go watch the video and then we'll discuss it on tomorrow, because you got to go watch the video and then we'll unpack it more tomorrow. But there's so much going on in the news. I really want to touch on get back to the possible Roe versus Wade being overturned and what it has led to right now. It's led to mass protest, right? And a lot of them. And so a lot of people are taking to the internet and saying that this is wrong. Don't go up to people's homes. And amongst those people's homes that people are protesting at are the Supreme Court justices. And the White House has responded. One of the people that they went out was to protest outside of Justice Kavanaugh's.
Damn.
So let's take a look at A1.
We will not go back. We will not go back. We will not go back.
A few days ago, this wouldn't be a problem. So it's a problem now because they don't want us to be here, specifically here. And you waited until no one was here to come and prosecute us.
I can't stand on this street because there's a dude in there.
Yep. As you can see, so the protest really began at a local cafe in Chevy Chase before they began their march to the homes of Supreme Court Justice John Roberts, and then Brett Kavanaugh. And they had a flyer for the event stating that they will protest outside the houses for reproductive freedom. Protesters can be heard chanting, "Keep the abortion safe and keep it legal." And some people can be seen with images of coat hangers chalked on the street where the march took place. And that's a little wild. And a left-wing group, they said, called Shut Down DC, is also planning on holding another protest outside of the Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito's house on May 9th, which they definitely did. Everybody was out in the streets. And here's the thing. Social media is taking this, and not everyone on social media, of course, because you got a lot of people that are standing on pro-choice. But a lot of people are saying that don't go over to their houses. They should be protected. There was actually there was a statement by the White House from Joe Biden. And if we can get that on the screen, Joe Biden basically, and this is not from Joe, well, this is from POTUS, Jen Psaki in her last days, who speaks for Joe Biden. And
Right.
she said that POTUS, Joe Biden, strongly believes in the constitutional right to protest, but that should never include violence, threats, or vandalism. Judges perform an incredibly important function in our society, and they must be able to do their jobs without concern for their personal safety. Isn't that so hypocritical, though? Like, judges perform an incredibly important function in our society. That's one. Abortion clinics, clinics, period, Planned Parenthood, birth control, all those things, they perform an incredibly important function in our society, especially for women, not only for the sole reason of not having a kid, a mistake, or not only for getting rid of your pregnancy, an unwanted pregnancy. It's to keep you sometimes safe from any issues that your body can't handle from a pregnancy.
Right.
It's the access to free or reduced care, medical care. Because if you were to go to a regular doctor for birth control or being looked at or a possible sonogram or whatever, it's not affordable to you. So taking away our rights, you don't consider that something that you're taking away from these people that want to help us? These justices showing up and just ripping that away, our rights, our choices. You don't think that's a thing? They're just we wake up in the middle of the day, the next morning, and our rights are taken away from us. That's a bit abusive. That's a bit aggressive. That's a bit extreme. Jen Psaki, love you, mean it. I know that you want to stand on the right side of things, but this is almost like that statement from Nancy Pelosi yesterday, which she was. I wish I had pulled that too, because that was another statement that I saw in the middle of the night, where she was saying that she's rooting for Republicans to be better like they used to be as strong as they used to be, to stand on the right side of things as they used to. I said, girl, was that on the first of never? Because I don't remember them being that.
I'm gonna say, when was that? When did that happen?
Because it was never. It was never.
In my 43 years, I don't remember that.
It wasn't giving what it was supposed to give.
At
a
all.
lot of these people stand here, these and I hate to say it because I know y'all don't like me saying that, some of y'all, but the whites on the liberal side of things, they're not always liberal. This is when I used to think of bipartisan, I actually thought of it as bipartisan. When you are speaking bipartisan now, you have to rock the boat. It's like, as extreme as these people can come and take away our rights, and one morning we're not able to make our choices with our own body because these justices stood there and okayed this thing, wrote it up and said women don't deserve any rights to their bodies.
Right.
Or their choices for being a mother or not being a mother for whatever reason. They should possibly be put in jail, leaving room for those things happening. It's extreme. But for people to go protest outside of the homes of the people who are offending us, the people who are hurting us, the people who are abusing us, the people who are taking away our rights, they weren't being physical, they weren't being harmful, vandalizing, taking away a woman's rights. I feel like taking away a woman's rights or women's rights is very telling. America's supposed to be, right, we're pushing towards equality, right? Affirmative action, those things. Women matter. Believe women. All that stuff. Me too. Remember all that? Now, where is it? We done step back a long way. That put us back a lot for us to work hard to get our rights. And now they're taking away from us, from white men. Mm-hmm. Giving other states starting to create rulings. I think Louisiana or somewhere I just read recently, but I've seen a lot of states starting to take rulings where you can be put into jail if you even seek abortion, if they had the idea that you had abortion. I was watching a TikTok video of a woman from the LGBTQIA community who went into the office to be checked, like gyno, getting checked out, get your yearly. And so she said while she was doing that, they asked her, And she's like, I'm sorry, but the questions that are, the doctor told her this, the questions that I am about to ask you, they just probably just put it on here. Are you planning on having a child? And the girl was like, no, look at me. Like, I ain't trying to have no kid. Like, no, I'm not there. Well, do you plan on, having a child in the near future? Are you taking any, and I think the questions were, are you taking anything to prevent you from having a child? And these are questions that your doctor shouldn't be asking you. And it's almost like they want you to ask so they can put you in a predicament where you're possibly be jailed or reprimanded for your decision. And usually with your doctor, it should be that patient, a doctor, a confidentiality situation.
Yep.
And it almost
Mhm.
feels like this is information that can be sold or given to rat you out. And she said the doctor started to cry while asking the questions to her.
Wow.
And so this is where we are. Women are now, our bodies are chained once again. Well, it's like we weren't even 100% out with freedom to do what we needed to do with our bodies. And now we are chained once again in our decisions with ourselves and who we are. It really, really, really is unfortunate. And we're just going to see how that goes. Protest on, in my opinion. Protest on.
That's real.
Continue to fight for what you need to fight for. And for everybody who's an ally, thank you for joining the cause. It's not only about abortions. That's what I want people to understand. They're calling it the abortion bill. They're calling this thing just focused on abortion, but it affects so many other things. There are people who are not able to afford to terminate pregnancies that keep them healthy, right? So they're going to go to a possible black market. There are people who've been raped. There's so many different things that go into this, and they're just eradicating it or wanting to eradicate it completely so that there's no access to it. But there's so many other reasons as to why people terminate pregnancies. And some people aren't ready to be parents. They think about what life looks like right now.
Yeah.
And some people are equipped to do that. Some other people are not equipped to do that. You understand what I'm saying? Mentally, they don't want to pass down things. There's so many different things that people have reasons for, and their reasons are their reasons. Their reasons are their reasons. A lot of people are having kids, and while the kid is here, while the baby is here, they're abusing that child. We've seen so many cases of children dying in homes where they're unwanted. They're put into systems and they aren't taken care of. America tells you to have the kid, but will not help you take care of that child.
I know you saw here in Georgia, 10-year-old killed. What was it? I forgot how old the other one was. The other sibling was 8 or 10, killed in a house fire. And now the parents of those children are on the run.
Wow.
Are lost. Nobody can find them at all. It's just like,
I did not hear about that, but that's wild.
And it was come to find out that the parents abused them, malnutrition, everything. So
and
here
then
it
set
is.
the house on fire?
The 10-year-old set the house on fire, killing his sister. Intentionally, if I'm not mistaken.
What?
Yeah.
You see? It's a generational thing, and some people aren't ready. Some people aren't equipped. It's going down to the children, unfortunately, and children who can't go get help. There are parents who can go get their children help. Some can't afford to do that. It's really tough to think about. But like I said, thanks to our allies, thanks to everybody holding it down, thanks to all people. I'm rocking with it. I've been on both sides of it. I'm at a different place in my life because I'm progressive and things change for me. But that does not mean that I want the right for people to change. If I didn't have that right at a time when I wasn't ready, at a time that I was not ready, I was not equipped mentally, financially. I didn't have a bed to my name. I didn't have clothes. I didn't have money. I didn't have bank account. Nothing. How was I going to take care of a child?
Right.
So, everybody should have their choice and be able to do what they need to do. Your religious rights or whatever the case may be, I really don't think you're going to hell. You know what I'm saying, for doing that. And that's just me on me. God loves you either way.
Regardless.
And so Moving forward, though, Jen Psaki, I know this is in the thread either. I just want to tap in. Jen Psaki is stepping down from her position.
Yeah. Thank you for doing this, Rebecca, because it was in there last week, and I wanted us to get to this. So yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
As her position, I believe, as press secretary for Donald Trump. Jesus, he out of here for Joe Biden. And so Karen Pierre is going to take over, and she is going to be the first Black person to take the position of press secretary. And it's interesting because she's also Haitian, so shout out to that.
Right.
During Haitian History Month, during Haitian Flag Month, during my birthday month. So
they did that just for you.
Just for me. Look, I gotta make all just for me. She is stepping down. What's funny is that she doesn't give a reason why she's stepping down. What she did I was like, this is the energy that I need from you, girl. Her press secretary-ness, came into play. Her public relations skills tapped in. She says, I will be stepping down. She made a statement, something along the lines of, I will be stepping down. But right now, I really want to focus on the first that will be coming after me. The first Black woman to take the position of press secretary, the openly gay Black woman. But I'm like, not only is she Black, she's Haitian American. That's pretty big. I know when somebody is, in a different community, they want to say the first of that. No, she's not only, because Black is not a monolith. So she is the first Haitian American openly gay. Come on, somebody, because y'all don't hear that a lot.
You don't hear that at all.
American, to take this position, and she's qualified. My God, Colleen has been in a lot of positions politically. We've seen her, and it's great to see her here where she is. And I hope that we see a lot that happens from here. I hope that we don't see just a mouthpiece, because I know a lot of times when you get into this position, you become just a mouthpiece. But I want to see somebody really rocking it, right? I want to see somebody really coming out there and making sure that they're comfortable with what's being said. I know you're paid to say, and I know it. Everybody can come at me. There's due process. I get it. This is a position that you took to make sure that you represent the president and his words and his statements and the White House properly. But I would love to see somebody go a little rogue, but very, very professionally. Go rogue, but very professionally. Because there are times that you're not standing with what's being said. And that's what's going to be a history that's stained on you. Remember in the beginning, we said Jen Psaki looks tired. Yeah. She don't like she wants to be here. She doesn't look like she wants to hold it down right here. She doesn't see that she wants to. She does not want. It's not for her. I see that she's a millennial that's being beat down, and she needs to step away. I hope that she does get the rest that she needs. I hope that it's almost like Sarah Huckabee when we were watching her unfold during the Donald Trump time era, and Sean Spicer, even though I don't like neither one of them, but for them to have to be a mouthpiece and saying things and representation of what they probably didn't really represent, and they became that. They became that. Short terms. They weren't really holding it down. So hopefully Colleen Jean-Pierre can come in there and give them a little earpiece. That means Haitian spices. Sprinkle it up on these. I want to see what's going to come of that, because there are a lot of issues that I think Joe Biden didn't speak on. And when Jen Psaki was asked about her being who she is, like a white woman in this position, it was really tough to make those calls, I feel. And I think that having somebody of color, I want to see something shake. I don't mean go in there and turn it loose, but I mean like really come and be professionally and hold it down like in a different way. Somebody has to go rogue in there. So
I hope she just goes rogue all the way.
I really
just get up there one day. She's like, you know what? I am sick of these people.
And she don't got no accent though.
She doesn't at all.
She ain't got no accent. But I'm just happy to see she's, like I said, she's a lot of firsts. And I know she said being the first isn't always the most important, because we have the first vice president that is a woman, a female woman, and a person of color, who's part of the Asian and Black community. And for her to be in this position, and we ain't never see it since. So being the first ain't always the best.
It's not. They just put you in there because you're the first.
You got to come in and do something. You got to come in and do something in there. But she said that it was, it's not that. But I think in this particular moment, when have we seen? This is a big one. She's a woman. She's openly gay, and she's Haitian American. Black, if y'all don't know, because I know some people be confused. What's that? It's black.
Black. Blackity black. They try to check out a lot of boxes off so they can appease a lot of people. So let's check off these boxes, okay, so we can knock all this shit off the list.
She was already working for Joe Biden.
Cool. Right.
She was already working for Joe Biden.
What capacity was she in before she moved into press secretary? What is she doing now?
I forgot what she was doing. Let's see. Because I remember when she was she's the principal deputy press secretary for Joe Biden. So now she's promoted to press secretary. She ain't just a deputy. She ain't just the, sidekick. She ain't just a background dancer.
So it almost sounded like she was like second to Jen, but she was probably the one that was giving Jen. Jen had a little spiciness every now and again about her.
And I like that about Jen when she first came out. But it wore her out.
It did, and I'm thinking maybe that's where she got it from, because Corinne probably was feeding her some of that little spice. She said, "Look, Jen, you need a little spice in this, honey, because right now it's not getting what it's supposed to give."
Out there, go out there, start flipping them pages, and get to what you need to get to.
Right,
you have it. You know what it is.
And when you get upset a little bit, get your hand and do your little hair thing, and then it intimidates them.
Yes,
just make sure you do
and
it.
It's crazy because to be working at the White House, I would think that they would make sure she's taken care of. But it's so much since this first term that they've had to have gone through. For her, to me, now that I know what it feels like to be in your 30s, you are still young, and to have life sucked out of you, it's a great opportunity. I know back in the day it was okay to have life sucked out of you, but we didn't have social media that beat you down on top of that every day. We didn't have people throwing opinions on you every day. We throw opinions on her right here on this show. I literally saw this girl go from having this beautiful red hair, don't know if it's coming out of her scalp, but it turned out it wasn't, because she came up there one day, bags in her eyes, dragging herself out of bed. Remember, I said, she was that picture. She was that picture. She's beautiful right here, but she came back, 3 lashes was hanging on that day. 3 of her lashes was hanging on that day. Roots wasn't done, and she was just like, it's been a long week. Like the Popeyes lady when they came out with that sandwich, and she was outside just tired on the bench. It's been a long week. And for her holding it down for Joe Biden, and I think that she does need a mental break. She definitely needs to step out there and go get a mental break. So whatever she's going to do for her, happy for her. Don't give Colleen no stress, because the ancestors will be on that ass.
Yeah, go ahead, rest Peppermint Patty. Was it Peppermint Patty?
It's crazy. No, it's crazy. I don't know, but she needs some rest, and I hope that she comes back. I hope she's on the beach in a thong. I hope that she's in rain boots in a thong. That's all you can have on. I hope that she's on the beach. I hope she's on the beach with some margaritas or something in hand. Go get your mental health back, girl, because it's been a lot. You've been struggling on that pulpit. Amen. So somebody who's been struggling, I'll say this, somebody who's been struggling but not so much is this young woman, I think, because I don't want to leave you guys with too much stress. Is this young woman, actually, before we go there, I want to get to Chris Paul, because it's going to make us a little rowdy.
Oh, God.
Chris Paul, y'all. On a recent game with the Dallas Mavericks, a fan was removed from the game. This was on Mother's Day, their Mother's Day game. A fan was removed from the game. So Phoenix Suns coach Monty Williams said the NBA should consider having a special section in the stands reserved for families of visiting teams in the wake of Chris Paul's family being harassed during the Sunday's playoff game this past Sunday. We know Sunday again was Mother's Day. The incident happened during Game 4 of the Western Conference semifinals between Dallas Mavericks and the Suns. ESPN reported that the members of Paul's family had been harassed by fans and that some in the crowd made physical contact with them. The Mavericks say the fan was ejected. It's funny that they put this reporting by ESPN, but it is reported that a young boy, a minor, put his hands on Chris Paul's mother and continued to harass more of the family members from the stands. And you can see, if we have that footage, what that looks like. Can we get it off of mute? Take a look here as the fan is being removed. Chris Paul tells him, I will see you later. He'll tell him, I will see you later. And Chris Paul went on to tweet out, if we have that tweet as well. Chris Paul went on to tweet out, he says, want to fine players for saying stuff to the fans, but the fans can put their hands on our families. F that. I don't know if we should have that word on the screen. But he really was upset because his mother, now it's on Mother's Day, baby. Not on Black Mother's Day.
Not
on Black Mother's Day.
Mars saying that they said the teen was inebriated. Inebriated.
And the
in
mother
public.
looked like she was inebriated, leading her son out of there. Come on, baby, let's go. Behind them was a little 8-year-old with the mama's purse or something behind them, trying to walk up the steps. It was very just, this is why I say these people that get these front row seats and usually feel like that have control over the players. They own the players as well. These rich white people that usually take these front seats and they can curse you out. It's one thing to talk your from the sidelines. Even celebrities are cutting a little too close as well. When they're sitting there, white, black, red, blue, purple. I seen just the other day, Drake yelling obscenities, and they do this. This is natural. This has always been a thing. But these players are being tested, and now they starting to get meta world peace.
Yeah,
on our test.
Yeah, it used to be one of those things where they could sit in the stands and they would ignore a lot of that. They would ignore a lot of the I forgot what it's called, the heckling and everything from the stands, and they'll be able to move on and not worry about it. But now it's just getting to the point where these fans are becoming just more personal, and then they're also trying to put their hands on them and get in their personal space. And they're human beings. These players are human beings as well, too, man. You don't worry about this stuff. I'll knock your ass out. You come over here, especially you say something to my mama on Mother's Day.
On Black Mother's Day?
On Black Mother's Day. With my black mama right here in the front.
And no, you touched Chris Paul's mama.
Chris Paul hands down probably about one of the nicest people in the NBA. And as you see right there, oh yeah, I'll see you later. He was hella provoked. I've been the same way.
And it's almost like you can't. My best friend texted me. She's like, she said, not him trying to be trying to appropriate black culture with the earrings and the fade and the haircut. Like, what we doing? You don't. We have to understand there is a line. There's a line, and Chris Paul, fine self, being of an older stature, to come at this young boy like, you want to touch my mama, I could touch you. It's nothing. I'll see you outside. All of my good sportsmanship will go out the window. Yeah. And allegedly, some of these sports pages were reporting that Chris Paul then led his team through a secret door to go and put go give that little boy a head up phase. That was allegedly. But what is true about this story, the fan, or can't say the fan, but that young boy and his mother and family are banned from coming to the games at this point moving forward.
And let me ask you, because I saw it when you dropped it in there, were they sitting next to, was Chris Paul's family sitting next to them or in the front? Or?
Somewhere in front of them in the area. Chris Paul's family was in the vicinity, and that's how the young boy was able to allegedly put his hands on Chris Paul's mother and harass the family members that were sitting there. It's problematic again because a lot of these rich people who take these seats believe that they have a part of the players. They become a part of the players. We know how fans are sitting in their living room. We've heard of people killing each other over their team not winning. We've seen that. And so now to see that happening, leave that up because I want to read it. And now to see that happening, with kids, this coming down to the kids for a viral moment, or to feel like they have that, and to be inebriated, underaged, be inebriated because privilege, because that's what it looks like. Privilege, parce que vous avez un privilège, vous sentez que vous avez 20 sous monde comme ça. Anywho, Chris Paul, I wouldn't be mad if you put your hands on that youngin. Some people need a good old spanking. I heard that they don't do that no more. Some people need to be taught a lesson. Put that back up on the screen. What we talking about? Who's saying what? I really adore you, Rebecca. You should be press secretary. They wouldn't know what hit him. They wouldn't know.
Rebecca, the whole White House would be in shambles. And shout out Environmental Coffee House for that. She said y'all should, everybody should send super chats. No, Environmental Coffee House don't send super chats. Y'all send our cash out. DJ X3C and Becca's voice.
Becca's voice. It's true. Daddy in here, and it's been a minute since we've done that. So Becca's voice, hashtag Becca's voice, hashtag DJ X3C. You guys, thank you for loving on us. We are close to the end, but before we get out of here, I don't want to leave you guys on that sour note. Hey, let's take a look at this young girl who has a message in this video. Before we get to the message, let's play When the Shoe Falls Off. When you're leaving something behind, it's always okay to go and get it, but continue your race. Let's take a look at that video.
All right. Dang, I want to knock you.
She ran out her shoe. Go to Leia. Go Lele. Go Lele. Let's go Lele. Good job, Lele. Let's go Lele. Let's go Lele. Let's go Lele. Let's go Lele. Lele. Let's go to Leia. Come on, mama. Let's go to Leia. Let's go to Leia. Let's go to Leia.
Yes, indeed.
She ran out her shoe and had it. Let's go. She lost her shoe and had it.
I know when y'all watch that, it gave you a little bit of chill moment. It put some fire up your booty. Listen, that is boxer Terrence Crawford's daughter, and that was from her track meet, okay? Her shoe falls off, and her teammates get a head start before her. She goes back to get her shoe, takes on back on the track, and she goes the route. She goes, and she keeps focus, and she surpasses her teammates. She surpasses her opponents, and she makes it to the finish line way ahead of them. This is what you talk about when persistence and never giving up. This is what it looks like. I know sometimes it's looking crazy for us right now, but when you really want that thing, when you're passionate about that thing, no matter what you left behind, even if that thing that you left behind is something that you need to go forward, go get it. And don't forget to stay focused on what's ahead of you, because you will reap what you sow, and you will finish that race. You will finish that race.
You said that.
You will finish that race. Again, we're at the end of the show, you guys. I love you so much. Just stay tuned. We have an after show for you guys. Or do we have an after show? No, I think I have a heart out today. I think I did say I had a heart out today at 10 o'clock. I think I did. Did I say that? No, I don't know. But because I'm getting a notification from my job at the same time. But we can definitely take it to the after party for a little bit. I still want to talk to you guys in the after party for a little bit, play some music. Honestly, you guys, thanks for tuning in. It's a Monday-ish Tuesday. That's what it's feeling like. It's a Monday-ish Tuesday.
Right.
Again, the rundown for the week. You guys won't have me on Friday because I will be celebrating my birthday this weekend. My birthday is May 15th. If y'all want to show some love, the cash app is Becca's Voice. DJ X3C will be here again to do it for you tomorrow. For everybody else who's going to the after party, meet us over there. I love you guys so much. Mean it. See you at the after party.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much again for tuning in today. We're taking it to the after party, man. So if you are going to the after party, we will see you there. Let me see, before we get out of here, let me give y'all your affirmation for today. Hey, I am in control of my emotions. I am in control of my emotions. Y'all gonna be great. If not, we will see y'all in the after party. Y'all saw how my little thing just went to like the little color thing. Let me change my battery, y'all. Y'all stay tuned. If not, we'll see y'all tomorrow.
Just say that you won't go and break my heart. Break my heart.